What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's installment of the Coach and the Disconnector. I am Brandy, the Disconnector, and the Coach Carrie Irene, cannot join us this fine evening, but I still got some special guests in the house, so we gonna keep her alive in spirit and introduce these wonderful ladies that I get to work with every week. But this week, we are talking to 3 of the 6 authors of the book, Women Empowering Women. So, break the mold and make a difference. So we have in the background, waiting to come on and join me, Melissa Mimi Simmons, Shema Stroud, and Tracie the Reset Coach Randolph. So before we get into that, I want to welcome you guys and invite you to join the group that you see scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now called Scale to Six Figure Group. The reason why this group is awesome, I'm actually a member myself, and I also do some work in the background, but that's neither here nor there. I have increased my credit score immensely due to the information freely shared in this group. This is a free group to join. The only thing you need to make sure you do when you do join is agree to the group rules. That is all. That is all you need to do in order to pick up these gems, build your personal credit, build your business credit, and learn to build your business and fund it as well. This group is extremely powerful, and I suggest you get over there if you are in that circle of things. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on the ladies who are also the ladies of Fem Talk, y'all. So if you haven't gotten over there and checked out that show, you better do it. Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. It's an amazing show, and we love what we do. So without further ado, I'm going to hit this countdown real quick, and when we come back, the ladies are going to be on the screen along with me. So hold on, y'all. Hold on. Look, y'all, look. Ladies in the house. So Shema is over here. That's Shema. Shema Stroud, yes. And below me is Tracie, the Reset Coach.
Hey.
Right here is Mimi Simmons, also known as Girl Bossed Up. She is in charge of that whole brand. You'll probably learn about that this evening as well. So, ladies, how is everybody feeling this fine evening?
Awesome.
I'm feeling good now that you gave me that Navage recommendation.
Yes.
Good things flowing. That's good.
A natural way, too, because we know she feels about pharmaceuticals, and you guys will learn a little bit more about that, too, because she's the Reset Coach for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
So each one of you have a chapter in this book that I definitely want to touch on. But what I found absolutely amazing is all of the chapters interlock with one another, and there's so much motivation and inspiration to be had. Like, no matter your life situation, there's probably something in this book that will help you pull right through that and see the other side faster than you would without something helpful, such as this book or one of these 4 coaches on the screen right now, because all of us are also life coaches. Mm-hmm. And that's something we have in common, and that's the reason the Coach and the Disconnector exists, because part of what we do here is we help existing life coaches become better coaches while helping people looking for a coach know what to look for in a coach and how to avoid the bad coaches. Exactly. Every single one of us have experienced that as well. And it's important because bad coaching can lead to, you just being knocked off of your horse to keep moving forward. Some people out here are so off the mark, I'll say, that it can completely discourage anybody from trying anything in that realm ever again. When at the end of the day, I truly believe that your coach should have a coach. Mm-hmm. And some things in life that you want to achieve happens faster with mentoring and guidance and coaching.
Absolutely. Right. I totally agree.
Amen to that.
Absolutely.
I heard, I think I mentioned it before. I heard Oprah Winfrey say that every coach has to have a coach. Mm-hmm. You just don't know everything. And if you're really looking and striving to do better in life, that ability for somebody who's been there or is there to tell you how to get there is imperative.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I didn't
No,
mean
I was just gonna finish by saying the wisest people have, like what Brandy said. If you are coaching, you need a coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was just going to add to that to say, you may need multiple coaches. Usually that's how it works, because you need coaches for different areas of your life. So one coach may have an expertise in one area, another coach in a different area.
That's
so
right.
You may need multiple coaches as well.
That's right.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was exactly thinking that. It's okay to have more than one. It's okay to have several.
Yeah.
Correct.
For sure. I know 3 of my coaches are on this call right now.
Absolutely.
That's the opportunity too.
I wasn't going to say it. But...
Tracie is all of our health coach.
Yes.
This is all of our leadership coach.
Yes, right.
Shema is all of our get out of your own way and just do you, boo, coach.
Come on.
I love that.
And Brandy's our finance coach, man. She will
Finance.
tell you how to
Finance,
invest. What?
Disconnect.
That's right.
Right. So my
Disconnect.
specialty is helping people disconnect from the things that are not serving them, especially people in their relationships, because so many of us, we grow up with people and we call them friends and we call people family that don't actually embody those roles.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get to our adulthood and we're like, why do I always feel like I'm taking 3 steps forward and 10 steps back dealing with certain people? Like, there are some people that need to be cut short. But that's not what this show is about tonight. We're going to have that conversation, though. In fact, we just had that conversation last week, I believe. But we need to dig deeper into it.
You rocked it on the whole living show this week.
That's right. We just had that yesterday.
Yesterday. Y'all don't know, go click on it. That was some information.
Oh, definitely.
Great nuggets. You gotta learn today.
That's right.
You know, that's one of my favorite phrases now.
That's right.
So, Tracie, I want to start with you, my love.
All right.
So you have a powerful story as to how you became the reset coach. And I want you to start with like where that all started. So your title, your chapter title in the book is actually Beyond the Diagnosis, 8 Steps to Move Forward with Grace and Ease. So let's start from that day that you got your diagnosis of breast cancer. What was the first thing that went through your mind when you heard it's cancer?
Shock. Honestly, I was shocked. I wasn't prepared for that because I kept telling myself that it wasn't cancer, that I wasn't going to have cancer. How could I possibly have cancer? I wasn't doing anything that I thought would warrant me having cancer. Not that you have to, but that was my thought process at the time. So I was in shock, to be honest with you. And when I found out, I was going for a second biopsy. So I was laying on the table in the process of getting a second biopsy with the tears flowing down my face, trying to lay still and really trying to process the fact that they had just told me that the first biopsy was positive. So it was difficult, but shock was really the first thing that came to mind because I was in disbelief.
Wow. Yeah. So after that initial shock, what was the first action that you took to get on top of this thing and battle it out?
Well, the first thing I did was I left the hospital and I just sat in my car for a moment. Just sat still for a moment. And I got a call from my cousin, Tamara. Shout out to Tamara. And she said to me, "What's going on? Something's not right." And I had, she knew that I was going for the biopsy, but she didn't even know that the second one was that day. And in that moment, I started telling her that, the first one was positive. And what she said to me was just breathe. And that was so key for me in that moment because my mind was racing because, like I said, I was in shock first, disbelief, trying to figure out, okay, how did this happen? All these things are running through my mind. And she's like, just breathe. And then I'm kind of like vomiting on her, right? As I'm talking, because now everything that was in my head, I was saying to her, and she's like, just breathe. And that was key for me in that moment. But when I got to my house after that phone call and I got home, I just got on my knees and started praying. And I had to remember what God showed me before the cancer. And it took me a moment to get there, honestly. I have to be completely transparent about that. But I was praying and I was praying and I was praying and I was praying and I was crying and praying and crying and praying. And that was really the what I was doing in that, during that day, really just praying all day and just trying to figure out, okay, what's next? But God said to me, think about what I showed you before this came about. And before the cancer, it was, I got you. He was showing me through Hurricane Sandy that I got you. And I had to think about that. And after I got over the shock and the disbelief, I was like, he got me. I know he got me. So what I need to do is take action. I need to start doing my research. I need to sit with these doctors and figure out what the plan of attack is going to be. I need to let my family and my bestie up there know what's going on because she is my person over there. But I need to figure it all out. So it was like, I got you, and now you need to go into action mode. And really, honestly, I had to really think back on everything that I was asking for before cancer came. Which is why once I got past the disbelief, it was really like, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. Because as a reset coach, I'm sitting here, looking at you beautiful ladies, and I'm sitting here as a reset coach, all because of the breast cancer. Because before that, I was in corporate America asking for a break. I kept asking for a break. So that was the break that I needed. It wasn't it wasn't the break that I thought I should have at that time, but it was definitely the break that I needed.
It's funny because we actually have that in common, because I asked God for guidance too, and it did not come in the way that I expected. So that's a nugget and a gem in itself.
Yeah.
One, God doesn't answer prayers in the way that we think He's going to answer them.
That's right. That's right.
But two, when major shifts in life are to occur, all hell breaks loose at once. Tracie just said she had the cancer. She was dealing with Hurricane Sandy, and she probably had 3 or 4 other things going on simultaneously throughout this process. When I tell you all hell breaks loose when that next level arrives, you just gotta, the first couple of times you're gonna be like, why? Why?
Yeah.
And then after that, you're gonna be like, oh damn, it's time for a new level. Bring it.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
It never comes the way we expect it to.
Never.
Right, Trilla.
That's Coach LaTrilla.
That's right.
Yeah, that's another coach.
Welcome. So, Tracie, you actually literally just touched on 3 of the 8 things that you gave guidance to in your chapter. So the first one, of course, was manage your stress through breathing. That's what you started with. That's what you started with yourself through the help of your cousin. And then adopt a positive attitude. Positive attitudes is necessary to move through any major life challenge. And I love that you touched on that in the chapter as well. Prayer was number 3. You absolutely spoke on that as well. Focus on the people and things that you love. And again, that's part of that positive mindset that you have to adopt. If you don't have a positive mindset, you'll learn to adopt one real quick when this kind of crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
No, listen, I'm a mom, so I had to think about, okay, my son needs me, and I want to be here for him. So he was my focus. He was a big part, like the major part of my focus, because I still wanted to be a mom.
That's right.
And you led by example through that process too, because he might have been young at the time, but he knew you were going through something tough.
Yeah.
And he saw you move through it with grace.
Oh yeah.
And that's a powerful lesson for a child in particular to witness themselves. He might not have understood how powerful it was back then, but give him a few more years. He's gonna be like, dang, mama.
Yeah.
You did that.
Right. So another thing that you took on was eating well. That research that you did. What was the first thing that you started to change about your diet when you started doing your research?
Oh gosh, what didn't I change? Honestly, taking out a lot of let me just be fully transparent, right? The meat. So I wasn't eating pork and beef before breast cancer happened. So I just need to say that I really stopped that as a fad in college. It wasn't for any real good reason. It was just because a lot of people around me were stopping, and it was kind of faddish. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop. And I just didn't miss it, so I just didn't start it again. So, but the cutting back on, initially it was, I went drastic initially. Let me just put it that way. Initially, I stopped everything, so much so that I was in my house one day and I fainted. because I wasn't getting enough food in at the time because I drastically just stopped eating almost everything. And then I started to incorporate things back into my diet. But what I realized is getting as much fruit and vegetables in as I possibly could, getting in all of the good carbohydrates like the quinoas and the brown rices and the oats and the millet and those type of things I started to incorporate that I didn't eat before. I mean, listen, my family is originally from the South. We cook, and they are people who cook everything from scratch, right? And everything with butter and sugar and all that. Listen, I love you, my family, and the food is absolutely amazing and delicious. However, it is not good for your health. So I change all of that.
Right.
Right.
He's like, all right, yeah.
Oh, good.
Right.
I'm slowly starting to make similar shifts. Not as drastic, nowhere near as drastic. And one thing, you probably gonna fight with me about this. I will never become a vegan, and here's why. You never know what might happen with food resources. And if you haven't been eating meat for a long time and your only option in order to eat is meat, you're going to be effed up for a while.
Well, that is logical. That is very logical.
So that's why I will never become a full-on vegan. I might do pescatarian, but never a full-on vegan.
But I'm not vegan. I eat plant-based most of the time, but I'm not vegan. So I just want to put that out there too. I don't proclaim to be a vegan. I love plant-based food though. I absolutely love it. Like tonight, I'll give you an example. I cooked, which is in the oven right now, lasagna with ground turkey for my loves in this house. However, I have a quinoa bowl and my protein is black beans and I'm eating fruit right now. So, I lose the temptation of most of that stuff most of the time. But, when I feel like I want to indulge 10%, I always say I'm a 90-10 person. I eat healthy 90% of the time and I indulge 10% of the time. When I go home, like, my Aunt Jeanette is watching. Oh, my God. Can I tell you that she makes the best sweet potato pie? So when I go home for Christmas and for Thanksgiving and Christmas, one comes before the other. However, I eat a whole sweet potato pie by myself, basically. So that was
the whole pie.
But then I won't do that again until next Thanksgiving and Christmas, So
that's good. That's everything in moderation.
That's good discipline. That's good discipline.
So, Shema, we got to move into your chapter now because you guys, I don't even know how this happened. Yo, when you pick up this book, you're going to realize it literally is Tracie, Shema, Melissa, back to back to back in these chapters. Just bang, bang, bang. I'm like, oh, man, I was not ready for all this good stuff now. So, Shema, you let me know that you've never talked about this on air before other than a radio broadcast, right?
Yes.
All right. So
before
we get into it, you guys,
when we launched, but that was it.
Right. Okay. So we got to take a short commercial break, but when we get back, I'm gonna give you the name of Shema's chapter, and we're going to get into this because y'all ain't ready. Y'all just ain't ready.
No, they're not.
Y'all ain't ready.
And we are back. So, guys, as we talk about the book, I want to go ahead and give you the link to grab your own copy if you're interested. It's on Amazon. Amazon links are like really hellaciously long, so I made it simple for you guys. It's tinyurl.com/WEW, as in Women Empowering Women book. So I'm going to let that scroll across the bottom, And Shema, let's get started with your chapter, love, because you and Tracie were aligned because, you know, we've been friends since birth.
Yes.
So, guys, Shema's chapter is entitled Building Resiliency by Proven, as in she lived this, y'all. Steps to overcome adversity with grace, faith, and intent.
That's good.
So, Shema,
Yes,
let
darling.
us know about your life challenge that led to your chapter subject and subject matter.
Let's just say I joke about this all the time. My mom and my dad created a hodgepodge of autoimmune diseases in me. I have a little bit of everything that they have. And one of them is alopecia. And I didn't know what it was. I never knew anything about it. And I don't know, I think I was 33 or 34. I was actually wearing this same hairstyle, and I went to a hairstylist, and she was taking the ponytail out, and she realized that all of my hair was gone, every stitch of it. It was barely being held on, and I didn't know what it was. I've had bald spots in prior. I just figured, okay, I know I have autoimmune diseases. I suffer from thyroid disease. So I just figured, you know, it'll come back. The hairdresser has brought it back. I've had multiple shots. I forget what they call them, the shots that you have in your head.
Cortisone?
Yes, I'm sorry. Brain freeze. Cortisone shots. And they would come back. It'd come back, it would be peach fuzz. It would be fine. And then that was the last time. It just all fell out. And not only on my head, every stitch of hair, all over my body, everywhere that you could think there would be hair, it was all gone.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
So your first step in your process was accepting the situation, right? What did that look like for you?
Let's just be honest here. Realistically, accepting the situation would have been the first step. But I felt like I was caught off guard. I felt like, I don't know what this is. It changed who I am. It defines me as a woman. And I was angry. Super, super angry. Because, you know, one of the first things we do, and I embrace this, and as a coach, I tell other people to embrace it. It's one thing to be angry about it and stay, but it's one thing to acknowledge your feelings. And I was angry. I was super mad. I was mad at something that I didn't know anything about. And I was mad that I didn't know what to do for it. And even the doctors were unsure. And with all that was going on in my body, it was another thing that I could not put my finger on. So accepting it was hard, but it was still filled with anger. That was the first step, but it was definitely filled with anger.
So how did you move into letting go of the anger side of it?
Well, you know what? That I hate to use this phrase, and I'm sure most coaches and other people hate to use this phrase, fake it till you make it. But I had to do something. In my mind, it was the weekend, it was Friday. I had to go back to work Monday. I didn't know how that was going to happen. And that amazing lady who's in the chat room right now just took it on the chin, and she woke up that Saturday morning and she was like, okay, let's go. Let's go get you some wigs. And I'm like, I don't wanna. She's like, well, you gotta do something. So we going. So I had to do it. I had to put on the face, and I had to put on the hair and all of that so I can have a seemingly normal existence until I figured out what this was and how I'm going to be from that point.
All right, now. So you have multiple wigs. Did you name all your wigs? You seem like a wig namer.
I'm not a wig namer. I do have multiple. I don't want to say hundreds. I have multiple. I have favorites. I am a ponytail girl from the heart. So as you can see, you probably see me here and on Fem Talk. I will wear a ponytail any chance that I get. And the better the wig, the better the ponytail.
Better the pony.
Man, this is good, y'all. Oh my God, I'm learning so much more about my sister queens, y'all. Now, I do have another question though. How far between when you experienced alopecia to when Tracie experienced the cancer? How far apart was it? Because you guys were both in each other's lives during both of these events.
Absolutely.
So how far apart were those two experiences for you two?
About 10 years.
Yeah.
It's
been about 10 years. Yeah. Because I think 40. When did it happen for you? 40 something?
It was probably exactly 10 years. You were 33. I was 43, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
it. So just like she said about the sounding board and that person, we go in.
Yeah.
Now, I got a question now.
Yeah.
How long, Mimi, how long have you been in the crew?
I joined the crew. I met Shema first. I think it's about 7 years now.
Ooh,
7 years.
Is it about that? Yeah.
And and I met, you know, that side eye, who's this girl, who's that girl? And, didn't know anything until we went away. We went on our conference, the first conference together. Mm-hmm. And we were both trying to figure out stuff. And we looked at each other and said, we got to team up.
That's right.
Something to get done. And from that moment on, we were like, we just gelled immediately.
Yeah.
And Tracie was there, and I think by the end of that trip, we were just all like
we were joined at the hip by then.
Right? Yeah. Well, we are the New Jersey crew, first of all, right?
Right.
But I can remember going to that conference, and they're doing all the planning, and they were working. I was out on the beach in the little cabana waiting.
She was quick to say, bye. I'll see y'all later.
Right.
Yes.
I felt bad because I dragged her there, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to go in here for a minute, but I'm gonna come back. And when I came back to check on her, she is laid out in the cabana, legs up on the phone, shopping. We're inside working.
Oh my God. I was not ready. All right, y'all. So we need to take a short commercial break. And then after our break, we actually have a segment from our very own Coach Carrie Irene. Just because she's not here doesn't mean she didn't leave us a little something special.
That's right.
So
we miss you, Carrie.
Be back in about 7-ish minutes because commercial straight into the segment. And you guys are going to love this because Carrie brought up an excellent point that most of us don't even bother to think about. So holy moly donut shop.
I like that one.
Holy moly donut shop.
You know I be watching some silly movies. If anybody knows what movie that comes from, drop it in the comments. I might have something.
There you go.
Holy moly donut shop. I don't know what.
and smelling good, all the goods. So it's a wintry mix here in Memphis, by the way. It's a wintry mix. The trees are all iced over again. And in the time that I've been in Memphis, which is only, let's see, 7 months, I have seen more snow and ice than I have in probably the 12 years, 15 years I was in Rhode Island. And I was gathering, I picked my umbrella up, and because I had the one in my pocket, this was attached to the umbrella. And I'm like trying to pull it off because I didn't want to assume that it was hooked on and then I walk out the door and drop it. So I was just pulling on it, and I was just trying to get it off of the umbrella. And I started getting kind of frustrated. You know, like you ever get snagged on something and the first thing you do is you start pulling at it, like to get it unsnagged, right? And I was thinking about it, and I said, if I take a moment and pause and see where the mask is attached, then I can detach it. And I don't have to be frustrated just aimlessly pulling at something, you know? And it immediately connected to a lot of things that a lot of people that I care deeply about say. I know Stacey Henry Carr says it. Ray Mel Bentley says it. I mean, we all say it's to get to the root so that you can release things. And I was like, it was such a good visual because I was like, okay, this, and I'll show you. I'm driving, but I can show you. I picked up my umbrella. This was attached to one of these little things on the umbrella, and instead of trying to figure out where it was attached, I just started pulling on my mask, and it was frustrating me because I couldn't get it off. But I'm like, Carrie, just look where it's attached so you can detach it. And I was like, that is such a revelation and such a visual of what we do when we are releasing things in our lives that haven't served us or caused us any type of discomfort, pain, anxiety, all of the things that we label as negative, but really it's fine-tuning us like everything, even the good things. But a lot of times when things come up for us like sadness or depression or anxiety or stress, we tug at it. We want to get rid of it. We want to release it. But we want to release the stress. And we spend all of our time trying to do things to de-stress. De-stress, 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 de-stress. And if we're constantly, all of the time, find ourselves having to de-stress, it may be wise to take a moment to see what is the stress attached to? What has me stressed? And deal with that. Because I don't want to manage my stress on such a continuous basis. If I can eliminate that management and free up my time by taking the time to go in and see what is my stress attached to. Is it work that has me stressed? Then I can say, okay, what at work has me stressed? Is it a person? Is it my job description? Is it being on my feet? You know, what is that thing? We are spending a lot of time, I've spent a lot of time managing my symptoms and not going to the root of what's causing those symptoms. Stress is a symptom. Depression is a symptom of something deeper, because those emotions are attached to something, and it's that event, that thing that they said, or that place that you went, or that thing that happened to you. That is what needs to be nurtured and dealt with in a very compassionate way if we are going to release all of the negative emotions that we feel surrounding that thing that it's attached to. So my prayer for you today is to dig deep. Anytime you feel a feeling that is not a feeling that you want to feel in that moment, what I am going to start doing for me is looking at that feeling, and instead of trying to pull that feeling away from me, I'm going to spend time with it. Because maybe that feeling keeps coming up because that's the feeling that I've been neglecting. yourself. So have a good day. I love you guys, and I hope and pray that you are doing something today that is bringing you closer to you. Not to the promotion, not to the job, not to the people, not to the love, not to the material things at all, not even the ethereal, but to you, to your center, to your core, to your soul. I love you all. Have an amazing day. Carry out. Carry on.
Man, even when Carrie ain't here, Carrie's still dropping mics.
Yes.
That was
Cool.
good.
That was good.
So, welcome back from our segment, y'all. We hope you enjoyed it. We definitely did. We was in the background
Yes, we
talking.
did.
Y'all saw some of the comments. I absolutely love what she said because it took a long time. And honestly, what she is talking about is part of what Melissa had to do in her part of the book. So,
Absolutely.
Melissa's chapter. So, if y'all missed it, we already went over Tracie, the Reset Coach's chapter, and Shema, She Talks chapter. So, yeah, if you guys are just now catching us, you're going to have to go back and watch the replay because we have some deep things here.
Yes.
So, we got Mimi's chapter. Mrs. Girl bossed up herself.
Yay.
Yes.
So, this is Melissa's chapter, y'all. From dream to reality, 11 steps for creating your path to success. Now, 2 is missing, but pretend it's there anyways.
That's right.
That's right.
Now, Mimi, in your chapter, you described the politics that led to some challenges in your career with the. Is this with the same district? So with the stick,
It's a different one. You know, we get the way New Jersey works. There's 600 districts throughout New Jersey. School districts.
Gracious.
I know. It's one of the most complicated states in the country. But so once you get certified, you could go to any. You know, obviously they could hire you in any district. I was at a different district that I retired from.
Mm-hmm.
But I think overall, most of us, especially and you could appreciate this. Cause I know, Brandy, you talk about this. When you work for the man, you think if you work hard enough, that's all it's going to take. That if you do your best, you give your
We're
best.
taught that though.
Huh?
We're taught that, and now
We
we're right there teaching our kids like sometimes you just got to outmaneuver and outthink these folks.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, and I
we were just thrown into the shit essentially, and we got to find out. We think we got a good heart, and we work hard, and we plan, and we do this. It's all just going to work out eventually. Some things just don't work out. You got to realize, okay, when is it time to move, and when is it time to go about it in a whole different way?
Mm-hmm.
A whole different way, and I was there. I was that person. Just gave it all. Knew I wanted to do so many different things. I'm a very creative person. But wasn't spending any time doing any of the creative stuff that I love to do. And I thought just by working hard, I would have a job and I would keep the job. And I was working my tail off at this time. I was in charge of, CFO, COO for about $1 billion school district, 30,000+ kids, thousands, about 10,000 employees, and I was in charge of all of that kind of stuff. And I thought just with my effort and my good heart, and I was trying to prove I was worth it. Until one day I wasn't, and I was called into an office and I was told to submit my resignation. And it was a very political district. It was all about the politics at this time, and I think we underestimate when we get into certain spaces the politics, and politics has nothing to do with your worth. It has nothing to do with your ability. It has nothing to do with who you are. It is the system that wants what they want, and I had to learn that. I assumed too much. I assumed people would support me. I assumed somebody would rise up and say, no, we have to keep her. And politics don't demand that. politics in any situation will remove you. If
so let me ask you this, Mimi. Do you believe that the politics of not only this situation but other situations similar going on around the country are taking away from the ability to provide our children with the best capable setup?
Absolutely. Politics and education, public education, unfortunately, go hand in hand. And for the average district, and I say average, or let me say this, where the most money is, politics follow money. So the more money your district has, the more politics your district will have. And unfortunately, most of our brown and different hue children go to public education schools. So the politics of education has nothing to do with politics. So most of the time when you see people at board meetings and you see things happening, it doesn't have nothing. Most of it have nothing to do with the
they're just going through the motions then.
That's right. It does not. It is not trying to get the best education for a child. It is somebody's agenda fighting somebody else's agenda. And when I understood that and I was in the middle of it, I was lost. Because I did not think that I the way I am, I still see the glass half full. I still see the best in all people. So when and I said, well, I'm not in politics, but it didn't matter if I was participating or not. You're in it because of the system.
Correct.
And that was the knowledge I didn't have. That was the reality I didn't absorb until the politics removed me. And I remember, and I was shocked, and I stood there in shock. And I remember when I had to make a choice, and I was talking to my lawyer, and they said, well, we'll fight for you. And I said, oh, no, I don't want to fight, because the giant, I knew how big the giant was. And I said, I cannot risk fighting this giant. And that's why, and let me say this as just a side note, that's why the Me Too movement had to happen. That's why Black Lives Matter, to some extent, had to happen, because we by ourselves, we can't fight the system. The system is created so that we won't fight it, because what happens is, just like the guy, fighting trying to become the first Black coach in the NFL. Once he fights it, he's gonna be blackballed.
Right.
Decided to fight the system, and he cannot play football any longer.
Well, he can't play football any longer because he kneeled. Nobody else would. They were so worried about their paychecks. They said, F it, I know I'm technically a slave, but this money's good.
And I have to be honest, we are doing this for our families. We're in these jobs. We create these lives for our children. My husband, I remember the fear that came on top of me, and I think I talked about it in the book. We had no money.
Right. You definitely talked about that.
The risk for losing everything when this happens.
And yet you still chose to commit.
You still commit. You still try. But it doesn't absolve you from getting cut out the system. It's politics. So you try to comply. A lot of people, they play both sides of the table. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to get caught up on one side.
You just brought up a good point, because those people that get along with everybody else in a situation like that, you better keep 8 eyes on them, okay? You better become an arachnid.
And that's what was happening. So I was on the wrong side, and I remember when I said, "Why are you doing this?" And this is what they told me when they fired me. And it wasn't nobody. It was none of the board members. Nobody would face me. So they got the state monitor, who denies it to this day that she did it. She came, she asked me into the office, and she said, write your resignation now. And I said, why would I do that? She said, if you don't, we will defame your name and you will never get another job. And they already had written an article in the paper about me that was a lie. And I was stuck. So I did what she said, and I wrote my resignation.
So I got a question now. What's the karma that you've seen come back from that?
Ooh.
Because I know it. Every time it's happened to me, and I didn't fight it, I just said, "Okay, God," and moved on to the next thing. Then people got effed up. in ways that I could have never ever done myself. This
Come
is
on.
one thing that I know for certain. Don't mess with God's children, especially when we're trying to do the right thing.
Don't let me start preaching here. The Bible says, touch not my anointed, do my prophet no harm.
Yes.
And I knew I was God's anointed, and I know I could prophesy. So I knew whose side I was. And a lot of things happened to a lot of those people that attacked me and a few others. And to this day, I'll just say this. I don't want to be in their shoes. And I've seen it happen time and time again. You just cannot touch God's people.
I have as well. That's why I had to ask the question, because
that's right.
A lot of people they feel like they need to take it into their own hands. I myself used to have real bad anger issues. I wouldn't fight, but I would do things to harm myself instead of going upside somebody's head, because I like my freedom, y'all. But there have been times that I've experienced something very, very similar. Like when I was a CNA. When I was a CNA, I see several fellow co-workers of mine mistreat and physically abuse residents. Mm-hmm. And rather than deal with the issue accordingly, they wanted to run off the person that reported it.
That's right. That's right. Because it's too, and I think they said I was too loyal.
Too loyal to what? The kids you were serving?
Right. Loyalty is something that the politics don't like, because the politics demands that you jump to the sides. And I was loyal to the superintendent and his objectives, his strategic plan, and support. That's what you're supposed to create. That whole concept of a team and building a team. Right. I believe in it and I live by it. But those that work with me can see that is a negative on those people that feed off the politics. So the politics was the total opposite of that. And I even got a call from one of the people on it. Mind you, none of these people that did this to me are, like you said, they're all gone now because the politics ate them after. But I'll say
because people like you, me, Shema, Tracie, we're the reason why a lot of these companies and districts and everything work in the first damn place. We are the linchpin to everything that is actually working. So when you run people like us off, your shit falls apart.
Absolutely. and it happens so fast. You could, it's whiplash.
Oh, they be on the phone inside of 90 days. We'll pay you to come back. Kiss my ass. I'm happy. Bye.
Bye. and that's what you learn. You learn that. And in the book, I talk about the shock, because I think what we expect is for the system to keep our families fed and keep our money flowing. Right. And what I found out is that is not the system's job. Nope. The system is not about keeping you fed. They don't care about your job tomorrow. They don't care about your kids. I had a daughter, my daughter, my first, and my grown daughter was in college, and I had a tuition payment to pay.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. That's
and
right.
I didn't, and the check dried up just that quick. And but God is a provider. Let me tell you, that what I learned in that was that you stand on the word of God. He said, I will not have my children begging bread in Psalms. So I said, okay, Lord, we're not going to beg. And he kept us. I will say he kept us. I did not get another job for 18 months. 18 months. To the point where I thought I should come out of this profession. Because because at that time I felt I was blackballed.
What were you doing during the 18 months? What were you doing during the 18 months?
Well, that's what the book talks about. Is in the first 6 months I wallowed exactly what Shema said. I wallowed in self-pity. I was angry. I didn't deserve it. Tracie, the same thing. Even though the situations that hit us, they all evoked the same emotions.
Right.
Of fear, of anger, of why me, of what am I going to do? That whole concept, faking it, because I still had to smile in front of my children. They couldn't know what I was going through.
That's right.
I had 3 babies at the time. They had to believe their life was still good.
That's right.
All of these things, when my mortgage bill was going by, they couldn't know what was going on. So you're faking it until you make it. You're doing something. And I would never forget when I heard God said, okay, it was 6 months in and I'm still wallowing. And I heard in the stillness of myself, God's voice. And God said,
right.
let me know when you're finished, when the pity party ends. I got something for you. Let me know when you're ready.
Right. Whenever you ready, I got you.
Whenever you're ready.
Right. That's right.
You let me know when you finish the pity party, and I'll let you know what's next.
Well, now.
Well,
So,
now.
oh my goodness. Y'all, there is so much freaking power on this episode tonight. I am absolutely astounded, amazed, so happy, excited. I love what I do.
It's amazing.
So y'all know that I'm gonna need to let each one of you let us know what is the biggest lesson that you want to pass on from your experiences that you wrote about. So y'all pick your order.
Well, I'll finish. I'll let the two heavy hitters go after that. Let them sum it up. But I learned that you need to always have your life plan in the forefront of your mind. Doesn't matter who you're working for. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Your life plan matters. So your side hustle, if you're still working for the man, your side hustle matters. Find time for it. When I woke up after 6 months, I wrote my first book. I'm on the verge of my third book right now.
Yes.
Those are things that God showed me. My musical that I started to produce. All of those things are now realities because I didn't stop. Girl bossed up. My business was operating while I was working. Now that I'm retired, I'm just moving what was already in place. That second source of income is real. Go get your side hustle and do your job. Don't let nobody own your fate. Own your own fate.
All right. I love that. I love that. Now, that side hustle, what I've learned is entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. But you know what is? Investing. Investing your time wisely, investing in yourself, investing in stocks, options, crypto. It doesn't matter. Investing is for everyone. Entrepreneurship, some people don't want another job to add to their job. I can understand that. But be doing something with your money to make more money for that time that you get to the end of the road. And you know what? Yep. I'm out.
Do something. Do something with that money.
Well, you actually said that. That's key. That investing is part of my final word. Know you, learn you, invest in you, so that when these things come, and I guess if you had to put it in a nutshell, what my final concept is resilience. So when these things come and they attack you, you know how to fight them, or you know that you have to fight them so that you can have a normal life or a normal existence or move on to the next thing. Know what you have, know who you are, know your core values or learn them, because there's a lot of people that don't know. The reason why I'm able to talk about it now, we were able to write this book, is because not only that life plan, we had to learn the things that were bogging us down, release them, and then we started to learn all this stuff about ourselves. All these flowers started to pop up. All these opportunities started to come out because we had to get to know the person who is handling everything, who is dealing with everything, who God created and who he created you to be.
Yeah. You know what came to me real quick? I just want to, the Bible talks about what was meant to kill you actually saves you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Woo, I can attest to that one.
Well, man, I mean, listen, I don't even know if I need to follow that, but because that was so good. And Shema just mentioned something that made me think of something that she said as we were going through that life planning process. She said, know who you are and know whose you are. And that pretty much sums it up, really. When you know whose you are, there is life beyond the diagnosis. There's life beyond the challenge. There's life beyond the people that tried to defame you. There's life beyond all of that. Learn the lesson in that to be able to move forward, because God God always gives you the challenge for you to get past it Go through it, rather. I'm not even going to say pass. Go through it.
Go through
For you to grow, for you to change, for you to level up. The better is always on the other side of that. So you have to look for the lessons that God is giving you in that. There is life beyond all of it. Recognize who you are. Know who you are. Know whose you are.
That's right. That's right.
I love it.
Well, y'all already know. And I want to definitely touch on point 11 that Mimi makes in her chapter. Because, your coach should have a coach. Mimi says, find a trusted mentor.
That's right.
We get to the places in life that frustrate us most based on what we think we know. If you crazy, you keep on going in that direction.
Okay.
If you got some sense about you, try something different. Get some guidance. I don't care if the guidance starts off with YouTube videos, wonderful books, somebody that's living the life that you want to live, but you don't know how to get there.
That's right.
9 times out of 10, if you ask the right questions with an open mind and be willing to learn, people will impart on you information that can change your life for free.
That's right.
For free.
Link yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah.
I gotta make y'all laugh a little bit. When we were in Africa, we were in 3 different trucks. And in my truck, I think we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coaches and 1 mentee. And she deemed us the housewives. And she didn't want to leave us. She was like, I'm staying in here with the housewives. But when I tell you, because you're with like-minded people, these are your friends, these are your sisters, they feed you, they pinpoint, because everybody has a different power. Everybody has a different power. So when they hear something, they are on it. Right now, Latrilla is listening. When I tell you, when you're in her presence and she says something or you say something, she is on it. She will get it. And she will start feeding into you and coaching you and mentoring you. Rhonda, she's not on here now, but she'll start loving on you. I'm giving you all my coaches. She'll start loving on you and praying for you. You have to surround yourself with like-minded people. And don't think that because you're a coach or you have a coach that you are done.
That's
right.
You
don't never. You are never done.
You are never done. You will always learn, and you will always need to be fed. The only way you can live is to eat.
Woo! And on that, it's time to drop the mic and say goodnight. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining me on the Coach and the Disconnected this fine evening. I know Carrie is sending her love. And just thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for dropping so many powerful nuggets. Thank you for coming together on this book. The other 3 authors, I need to get a hold of y'all too. I want y'all too. Y'all know who you are. So with that, we will be back next Thursday, and we will be joined by the one and only Coach Toy Addington, founder and owner of the ICC Life Coach Institute, that I was actually certified as an ICF Certified Life Coach through. So with that, that is the end of our show this fine evening. Ladies, thank you so much for your time this evening, and we will be back next week. Love you guys. Later.
Love you.